Hey everybody. Well, I may look a little worse for wear. Don't have my hat on again. Apologies. Um, I was running a 104 temp this morning between 9 and 9:30. So I thought I might have to go to the hospital if it didn't go down, which nobody wants to go to the hospital. So I did manage to get it down. Um, to it's been running about 101, 102 after the medicine started working. So I go back and forth between feeling a little better and feeling a little worse. So but I didn't want to delay this. I don't know what that noise is in there. There's always some kind of distraction or something. But I didn't want to delay this show. Talking about the last 6 episodes of Tales from the Crypt any longer, before me and TJ both forgot about the episodes. I wanted to make sure that we were able to do this. Guys, can y'all excuse me for just 1 second? My dog's whining at the gate to come back here. So, no, Ranch, you're not coming back. No. No. Okay. So not only was Darcy at the gate, but Reggie was at the gate. But if he comes back here, it'd be like a horse running back here. So I wasn't gonna let him come in here. So before I had TJ, I did a video not long before this, talking about my Exorcist set, my Exorcist 4K set that I got in from the UK. I neglected to show people the other discs in this. There are a total of 5 discs in this, and I did not realize that till I got to looking at the packaging. I was like, "Oh, okay." But they did one of these numbers where they stacked the discs on top of each other. So I only saw like the theatrical cut and the director's cut in 4K. But the great thing about this is, for those of you that bought the 4K in the States, you will notice that they didn't put a Blu ray with the special features on it with that set. You had to get the special features using the digital code that they put in there. And a lot of people were unhappy about that. With this set, you get a Blu ray with the special features on it. So, why they did that differently, Warner Brothers did that differently in the States as opposed to the UK, I'll never know. But they do weird things. So, anyway, I'm going to add TJ real quick here. Hey, TJ.
Hi, Dana. How's it going?
Oh, okay. Well, better now that my fever's down a little bit. It's scary to have a temp of 104. But,
Yep, that's not good. Why are you on the stream right now?
well, because like I said, I didn't want to delay it any longer. And I've also been going through a little bit of a depression state. And it's been told to me that you need to push yourself to do things that you normally enjoy, even if you're just like, So that's what one reason I'm doing it. And, I like coming on here and talking to you, TJ, and talking to everybody in the chat and stuff like that. That always makes me feel better. So as long as I can sit upright, we'll be okay. If I start falling out of my chair, now we got a problem there.
Well,
So
I'm sitting on a pillow, so I might fall off anytime myself.
oh gosh, I hope not. And I see you got your Tales from the Crypt comic back there.
Yeah, I don't have the one that has the cover of the lower birth episode. I know it's somewhere in my house. I just don't know where it is.
Oh, that would have been cool. Well, maybe if you find it later on another one of the later streams, you can show it on there.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's okay with TJ if we keep the 10-minute limit to each episode.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, he's eating those damn mellow cream pumpkins again, aren't you? Or are you eating the autumn mix or the mellow cream pumpkins alone?
It's autumn mix.
See, I like just the mellow cream pumpkins by themselves. The autumn mix is okay, but
I like candy corn. People don't like candy corn. They go fuck themselves. Uh,
I like candy corn. It's just mellow cream pumpkins are just I'm crazy over them. They're they're just awesome to me. Blissful says she's going to yell at me after the show, probably for
the fever thing. Yeah, it's it.
the fever thing and doing a stream and all that. Probably she says she'll use her indoor yell. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with these last 6 episodes of season 2, including the lower birth episode, which is we're going to get to it, but that's a really interesting
It's a
episode.
special episode.
It is a special episode, and you're going to see why when we talk about it. But before we get to the lower birth episode, the first episode we're going to talk about tonight is Corman's Calamity, starring Harry Anderson, Cynthia Gibb, and Colleen Camp. So you got all 3 of those people in this one episode. And I don't know. Some of this episode was a little bit lighter than some of the ones to come. I guess you could say it's probably, I don't know, TJ, would you say that's the lightest of the 6?
Yes, it's very light. It's funny.
Mhm.
I mean, with the cast. I mean, Colin Camp, Harry Anderson. I
Yeah,
can't remember
and
who Cynthia Gibb was in. I can't. I know her from stuff. I just can't remember anything else.
well, Cynthia Gibb's been in a lot of stuff, but what I always focus on Cynthia Gibb being in is she played Karen Carpenter in the Karen Carpenter story.
Oh,
And that's the big thing I remember from, but I know she was in other stuff. I just can't think of it right now. Um, but this was also directed by Rowdy Harrington, and some of you might be thinking, who the hell is Rowdy Harrington? Rowdy Harrington directed Roadhouse. Because I thought, didn't he direct Roadhouse? And Steve loves Roadhouse. That was one of the big movies we watched when we were dating. And I think he went to see it more than once, maybe more than twice at the movies when that thing came out. Um, but anyway, I said, Steve, didn't Rowdy Harrington direct Roadhouse? And he said, yeah. I said, well, he directed this Corman's Calamity episode of Tales from the Crypt. So I thought that was interesting. Blissful says, I guess she's talking about Cynthia Gibb, said she was cute in a cute
oh yeah,
movie, Modern Girls.
yeah. I know. I remember that one.
Mhm. So I'm going to turn it over to TJ to go ahead and start talking about this episode. And so take it away, TJ.
Yeah, it's Corman played by um, Harry Anderson. This is a very meta episode. He's a writer for the Tales from the Crypt comic book. He's an artist writer for the Tales from the Crypt comic book. So it's very like I said, it's very it's aware. There's character names are named after some of the artists from the original Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Haunted Fair comics.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a Corman. I don't know if it's if it's supposed to be Roger Corman related, but there's like a Grimes. That's one of the artists.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So yeah, he's a writer, artist. His wife, played by Colleen Camp, is she's one of those mean wives. She wants a baby and he's not delivering, and he's always at work, so she thinks he's cheating on him with the hot secretaries, and he keeps making excuses like the secretaries aren't in because it's the weekend, and there's like the sexy buxom weight secretary is showing him stuff while he's lying to his wife on the. And I mean, Colin Camp's pretty cute and kind of sexy, so I mean, I don't know his deal, but whatever. I think they should have picked somebody who was more like overbearing looking, because physically and her character is very overbearing. She does it really well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's set very though it's set in the 90s. It's a very like 50s feel because it's from the like I said, the original DC comic. So Colleen Camp's dressed like very 50s.
Yeah.
But when we get to the Cynthia Gibb stuff, like she's in like a laundromat and she's like in a regular whatever clothes or whatever. So anyway, his drawings start coming to life because of these pills that his wife is forcing him to go on to make him more fertile. Um, so Cynthia Gibb is this cop who he comes across her at a laundromat, and then later she gets attacked by this dude who wants to attack her with a
Mhm.
knife and whatever. Uh, though it's rapey, but there's still a comedic edge to it. I don't know. Maybe my brain is
I
just
don't know. I think they were purposely trying to keep it light.
yeah. But it's pretty obvious what he like. With his dialogue, what he wants to do to her. Like
Yeah. You're
it's less comedic than very realistic, creepy, weird kind of thing going. Anyway, she's like, I'm a cop, and he's like, yeah, right. And then she kicks his ass basically.
yeah.
And this monster comes out of the washing machine and attacks him. This monster that Corman had drawn in his studio. Um,
And these are really cool monsters in this episode too, I think.
yeah, it's very reminds me of House.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
does.
there's a point where he draws a picture of his wife as a monster, and the monster comes to life, and it reminded me very much of the witch
Yeah.
in House, and it's funny with it. The wives are sort of facing off, and she's like, "Is this what you think I look like? What?" And he's like, "Yeah, kind of." So yeah, it's a lot of funny, a lot of comedy in this. He has his two co-workers who are like play off each other like a Laurel Hardy type of situation.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're scared of his wife too, so they run away every time his wife comes in there.
and yeah, so the big, well, I mean, because he falls in love with Cynthia Gibb, because he has to. Though he's still married. And he's
How
lying.
could you not fall in love with Cynthia Gibb
He's
though? She's
lying to her.
cute.
Stop lying. I know it's all light and comedic, but I'm like, just say. I mean, he eventually goes, like she goes, "Are you married?" He goes, "Not anymore," because well,
Right.
she's wife die. Her and her doppelganger have a behind the scenes fight, like you see it in a silhouette behind the door of the window
Hmm.
of the office where they work, and you see it in shadow the fight. So you don't know. I mean, I think Colin Camp's character could kick the monster version of her ass. So I mean, but it ends with like Harry Anderson's like, oh, I'm sick of writing horror comics. I'm going to write romance comics. And the last panel was him and Cynthia Gibb at dinner.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a fun episode. Like I said, it's very late. Um, it was from the Tales from the Crypt, so
Yeah.
the
It,
comic. Uh, yeah, and you said the director was it. So
yeah, and I mean, considering what the episodes to come, I'll say it again. I think they set this up this way so that you could have a little breather, a little bit of a breather. It had monsters and stuff in it, a little bit of a breather, and then they're going to hit you hard with these other episodes because I thought these other episodes, uh, pretty much, especially a couple of them at least, were very very dark coming up. Um, but I liked Corman's Calamity. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, if you, as long as we don't get too into and I'm not picking at TJ on this, as long as we don't get too into the morals of what Harry Anderson is doing, technically, yeah, he's screwing over his wife. He shouldn't do that. But in the grand scheme of things, of this episode, that's what 26, 27 minutes, I think it's all right. It works.
yeah,
But I liked it, and I don't think there has been one episode of this entire season that I just dislike so bad that I don't want to go back and watch it again. On the other hand, back when we were doing Friday 13th, the series, like me and TJ agreed on more than one of them that it's like, oh God, that episode was just a chore to get through. And I
Yeah.
think part of it was those were too long. And the other part of it was just the longer that show went on, especially after John LeMay left, it just got tedious. Um, but anything else you want to say about Corman's Calamity before we move on to the next one, TJ?
I'm good.
All right. So,
We
um,
we have the same glasses, I think.
yeah, why? I just now noticed that it's like we match.
It was not planned. It was just, oh, I have glasses.
Are these Tory? Are the ones you got Tory Burch? That's what mine are.
Holt.
Oh,
Spy.
okay.
Spy Holt. I don't know what that is.
Maybe maybe that's the male counterpart to the Tory Burch ones or something.
Very Brad Majors? This is my fiance.
Okay, so the next episode is, as TJ said, a very special episode, which is Lower Birth. And this stars Jeff Yeager. Now, TJ, help me out with this. Is Jeff Yeager in any way related to Kevin Yeager, the
They're
special
brothers.
effects? Okay. That's what I thought, but I knew if anybody would know, TJ would know that. So I just wanted
I'm
to
pretty sure I
confirm
could
that.
be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. By the way, I was wrong on a stream the other day where I mentioned the original Art the Clown was dead, and I was like, no. I found out that no, he's not dead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad he's not dead.
On some stream, I can't remember who it was, but because I think Dirk said something, and I was like, oh. I was like, oh, too bad the guy from who played Art the Clown couldn't see the movie become a success, and then I realized, no, they just switched actors.
Oh, I
I
got
just
you.
feel bad for the guy that said, yeah, I'm not going to do Art the Clown anymore, and now he's like,
Now it's like
the third movie is I saw a poster.
oh,
It's
okay.
going to be a
Hmm.
Christmas horror movie now. So
I might it might cause me to have to watch it because maybe I'll like it better than the second one or something. I don't know. Who knows? You never can tell with me. But the screenplay was by Fred Decker, and this was directed by Kevin Yeager.
special
Who,
effects guru, Kevin,
yeah,
the ex-Mr. Linnea Quigley.
what was he an ex-Linnea Quigley? I know. Oh, what's his face?
They met on Night of the Demons, and um,
Well, that was Steve Johnson, I think.
oh, why am I thinking? Oh, okay. I don't know. Kevin Yeager did no, because of the Elm Street special
Yeah.
effects. That's what I was
Kevin
thinking.
Yeager was married
Okay.
to at one
Sorry.
time he was, I don't know if he's still married to her, but the one that played the mom on Child's Play. Kevin Yeager was married to her at one time. Like I said, I don't know if they're still married, but
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's right. All right. So these mallow creams are melting my brain, I guess.
uh-oh, that's not good. But anyway, I don't want to give away the special part of it. I'm going to let
Yeah.
TJ go ahead and start talking about it, and he will certainly get to the special part of this episode.
This is another one from the book of Tales from the Crypt. It's about this circus sideshow, and the star attraction is Enoch, who's the two-faced man. Um, the his sort of handler is sort of like, hey, he's the big name, and the guy who owns the sideshow is like, yeah, you wouldn't be anything without us, but he finds out that that Enoch is slowly dying, like he's not going to live too much longer, so. The owner of the circus is kind of like, yeah, you can't fool me with pretending that you're the biggest thing in the circus because your guy's going to be gone eventually. So Enoch's handler sort of meets this other guy who's like this doctor, weird doctor guy, who has this mummy, what he said he won in a poker game. which we find out later is a big ass lie. That he actually stole it from a museum or whatever. But Enoch is falling in love with this mummy. The mummy never really moves until a certain point. She sees the mummy has this necklace, and if the necklace is removed, the person who removes the necklace will be castrated mysteriously.
Mm-hmm.
But being a horror movie, and if you're really familiar with mummies, you're probably going to realize who castrated those guys. It was the mummy. Anyway, yeah. Enoch is falling in love with her. It's a very dirty, as you think a sideshow carnival. Very dirty, very like the fun house. It's very like, I don't know why kids would want to go there. She's very like unsanitary. And you
Yeah,
can
it's
probably,
kind of like TJ. I don't know if you've seen Luke's or the Geek, the movie before, but a
yeah,
kid goes to see the Geek, and why would you let a kid do that?
yeah.
With a bunch of drunkards and just a grown men and this little boy's walking around there. But anyway,
Those guys that run the rides, you don't trust them with your.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, and anyway, the handler finds out that the guy was lying. He accidentally kills him with some shears. He brings the shears in to just scare the guy, but he ends up killing him. Um, and then he tries to take the necklace off of the um, the mummy. He ends up getting castrated. Her eyes open up. Um, there's a nice even though, like I said, it's grimy and gritty. There's a cute scene where this little girl goes backstage
hmm
and sees Enoch and is very like, I don't know, nice, but very like not scared of him. And Enoch's like because Enoch can't talk. He's like pointing to the the curtain that's covering the mummy, and the little girl moves it, and he's very like friendly with her. And um, the mother ends up taking the little girl away right before she gives him her little doll,
yeah,
which is it's a cute little scene. And then we get the handler who comes back, and he's like, "Oh, the little girl. Oh, you want to have a family? Well, you're a freak. You're not going to have a family. And you're in love with the mummy." And it's like whatever. So anyway, yeah. So later on, he tries to take the necklace from her, and then it's like a year later. He's probably dead. We don't see him anymore, and then the sideshow owner, one of his workers, comes over. And then with the cop or whatever, and the cop's like, you had that trouble last year. I think this is something you want to see. So he brings the guy to this sort of cavern. It's very, dripping and dirty and, stalactites and all that crap. And we see dead in a loving embrace, the mummy and Enoch. And the guy's like sort of sad, but he's also like almost puking because it's so it's like it's probably smells, and they've probably been rotting there for a while. And they go off, and then the camera pans back, and there's a little baby
hmm
who's got a skeleton nose and skeleton face. Well, the big twist really is that this is the origin story of the Crypt Keeper,
yeah,
which is it's a very Grogu looking
yeah.
animatronic cute version of the Crypt Keeper, which is like, oh. And then at the end, his little outro is he's crying. He's like, oh, and he's good.
Because he's remembering,
Yeah. So
that
he's
his
like
mom and dad.
laughing and crying, and it's very funny ending. But that episode is it's a dark episode. It's very, there's
Mm.
no lightheartedness except for like that one scene.
And I always, I had forgotten about this scene. I don't know, or I mean, this episode, and I don't know how I forgot. But then when I saw it again, I was like, "Oh, the lower birth episode." I mean, I really remembered liking that one. And I liked it again. I liked watching it again, and liked the fact that they worked in the origin of the Crypt Keeper into this story. Like, in case you were wondering where the Crypt Keeper came
Yeah,
from, how he came to be, this is his story.
And it's in the original comic version too. It was always the Crypt Keeper's origin.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they did the story and they said, "Oh, let's make this the origin," or they, you know, they had the idea of, "Oh, let's do an origin story." Well, what would it be? What would his parents be like? I don't know if they did it for the old witch and and the vault keeper, but yeah,
Yeah, but the Crypt Keeper got to have his own story,
oh yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
which I which I still think is cool and cool in the episodes too. Um, Another really good episode. Don't have anything bad to say about it. Um,
Kevin Yeager's great. He doesn't have really any dialogue, but he emotes very well. You can see, even with all the makeup, you can see his expression, and
mhm,
like when he's looking lovingly at the mummy, it's like very touching type of acting performance.
exactly. And I'm wondering if Kevin Yeager did, like, as well as doing the directing, if he did the special effects, like the stuff on his brother and stuff, or if he had some of his guys do that, because he was directing. I'm just kind of curious about that. Um, but yeah, a really good episode. TJ, is there anything else you wanted to bring up about it? Any little tidbits of information?
No, I'm good.
All right, we're keeping these to about 8 minutes. We're doing good here. So the next one is a really creepy ass episode.
Very dark.
And if you like Richard Thomas, you might not want to watch this because he's a really, really bad guy in this one. And this episode is Mute Witness to Murder, and
Mm,
it stars Richard Thomas, Patricia Clarkson, and Reed Birney. And I'm not familiar with the director. The director was Jim Simpson. Are you familiar with that name at all, TJ?
no,
But I
no,
can see TJ's maybe going to look this guy up.
I'm looking this up. Let's see, Jim Simpson. Simpson, eh? Uh, yeah. He um, he did direct a lot. He was assistant director on Spice World and Event Horizon. Um, but yeah, he didn't do a lot. So
Well, maybe that's why I haven't heard of it, or the name wasn't familiar to me. But he did a standout job on this episode because
yeah.
this episode gave me the creepy crawlies. And uh, here's the thing, and some people might laugh at this, but I've always had a fear since I got old enough to know about these things of, you know, either having a nervous breakdown at some point or losing control of myself in such a way that somebody thought, well, this chick's lost her mind. Let's go throw her in the mental hospital,
Mhm.
and ending up in one of these places and not being able to get out. So what happens in this episode is exactly what I was scared of, only this woman's not like, she doesn't lose her mind. She doesn't have a nervous breakdown. It's something else totally different. But I'm going to go ahead and let TJ start talking about this episode.
So this one is from Crypt of Terror, number 18. It's not actually from Tales from the Crypt, but it's basically Crypt of Terror became Tales from the Crypt. Blah blah blah. So it's it's woman in the window, uh, Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah, Rear Window.
Window, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So this woman, I think it's her anniversary. It's like an anniversary costume party. So I don't know if it's a Halloween party on their anniversary, or
Yeah, I didn't really understand that part of it, but yeah, it's their anniversary. I know.
it's like their friends, her husband, his sister's boyfriend, husband, whatever. And they're winding down from the party, and he goes into the bathroom. The husband and his wife, played by Patricia Clarkson, Patricia Clarkson, Um, Witnesses her neighbor across the street kill his wife.
Yeah, I
Was
think
the
it's
wedding
his
dress? I
wife.
guess they just got married.
Yeah, she looked like she was in a wedding dress.
Because I was like, were they at the party or was
Yeah, I
they?
don't think they were at the party. It did literally look like they had just gotten married.
Yeah. Um, anyway, so she witnesses, right? So she loses her voice and she can't talk and she's gulping and her husband's like, I'm gonna get some help. He brings back the doctor in the neighborhood. Who, guess what? The doctor is the guy who killed his wife across the street.
Yep.
So she can't say anything. He immediately admits her into his. He happens to just work in a sanitarium.
Hmm.
He's like the chairman of the chairman of the board, and he's the head of like the medical team. I was like, oh, this woman is in deep shit.
Yeah.
Um, the husband really can't do anything because he doesn't know what happened because she can't tell him, and she's swept away, and she's put into this asylum. Where the nurses are nice. There's one
Kind of.
like
That.
feeding her food, and she's talking really nice to her, and it's very like how did these? And then the doctor sort of alludes to the fact that like there's been some like molestation of the patients by some of the staff, where he's talking to the woman basically saying, hey, you're going to be here the rest of your life because you're never going to get out of here, and I'm going to make sure of it. And she's like clenching her legs together, and she's like, don't. He's like, I'm not going to try to violate you. Make sure to keep that at a minimum in this hospital. I was like, at a minimum?
It's like, why is it happening at all?
Yeah, this guy. Well, you can take it two ways. You can either take it as a joke, but he wasn't joking. He was being like,
Hmm.
he's trying to scare the shit out of her, which is working because she's afraid for her life because she can't really do anything about it. Um, Her husband's trying to figure out what's going on, what made this happen to her. There's a little scene with him and his sister, and she's like, "What do you know about this doctor? He commits her, and you don't even look up who he is really because he's the neighbor that he you know his credentials." And it's like, yeah, smart, somebody smart in a movie telling somebody to do something. Um, Great character. You barely see her in this episode, but I think the sister character is one of the better characters.
Hmm.
So he ends up going to the hospital, trying to find out what's wrong with his wife, and he basically figures out with what she doesn't tell him. He gets a tip off basically that it's the doctor who's the killer. Um, he ends up injecting the husband with this, I guess, poison, kills him right in front of her. She can't do anything about it. Um, he's going to give her a lobotomy. Just to basically, he's like, I'm going to give you a lobotomy, and you're probably not going to survive this operation. So he's doing the whole, I'm the villain. I'm surprised he didn't have a mustache to twirl
Right.
that he's going to kill her and everything like that. Meanwhile, we find out that he has a little bit of a heart condition. It's like, interesting. So anyway, but we do find out while she's alone that she says her husband's name. So she's starting to be able to talk. So we have the scene where she's about to be brought by the doctor to get her operation on her head. And he starts having a heart attack. And he doesn't have his pills. And he's like, tells the woman to call the main office to tell them that I need my pills. And she's standing there looking at him, and she's like, he finds out that she can talk.
Hmm.
And he's like, you wouldn't let me die. And she's like, oh, bet your butt I will. She's like, you're a murderer. And I'm like her. I'm like thinking, I'm a murderer. You just murdered your wife and my husband.
Right.
I think you're the bitch. Yeah. And then he lets him die. And then she goes to call like security or whatever. And she's in between playing it straight and then laughing, which means she probably is, if she's not off completely, she's going to be in that hospital for a long time afterwards, just dealing with the tragedies and everything
Yeah.
that happened to her. So it's a very dark episode. Um, I don't see really anybody prospering from anything in this episode. No one has a happy ending, and yeah, it's a pretty good one. It's really Patricia Clarkson's very good at the not talking acting. She's really good. She holds this whole thing together.
Yeah, and the fear in her eyes, like that looks real.
Yeah.
And yeah, I even though this was a very creepy episode, very dark episode, and Richard Thomas is crazy and mean as hell, and
Come
he's
on, boy.
yeah, he's no John Boy here. That's why I say if you really, really like Richard Thomas and his good guy roles, maybe don't want to watch him in this. But again, this just shows what a great actor he is.
Mm,
That he can play a really good guy and he can play a really bad guy, an evil guy in this case.
mm.
And like just all the scenes in the asylum are just, I mean, so bizarrely frightening. I mean, she's basically from the point they bring her into the asylum, she's in that padded room
Yep.
and she just goes from looking just a little bit bad to looking really bad towards the middle of the episode, when her husband comes to visit her and he's like, "Oh my god, what has happened to her?"
Yeah.
And so everything works in
There's a
this
lot of
episode.
close-up shots.
Hmm.
There's a lot of like, people looking at each other, but they're very like tight and they're very like emotional shots too. It's not like I said, her acting and everything like that. It's like the close-up on her is very like you can have a good actor do that because if the actor has sucked, it would
Wouldn't work
you couldn't be
at
able to
all.
do that properly. Yeah.
So another very, very good episode. Dark all the way around. There's not really any comedic or lighthearted parts in this. It's just straight ahead, just dark, dark, dark. And even like TJ said, even at the end, there's really no resolution
Hmm.
because she's clearly, if she didn't have issues to begin with, she's got issues now. And it's going to take some time to come back from that if she can come back from
Cause I got issues. You got
it.
it too.
So, TJ, unless you got anything else you want to bring up about this one, we'll uh,
I'm good.
we'll move on in just a second. But I did want to take a look at some of these chat messages real quick here. Um,
Hey,
I hope
Dirk, Dana.
I hope Super Batman Nerd's still in here. So, hey, Super Batman Nerd. Um, and Lizzle says she actually had sleep. Now she's hyper. Allie P says, just finished watching The Secret again. They fed that kid nothing but desserts all day. The sequel should be The Dentist Office. We're going to get to that one here in just a little bit. Um, Blissful says, your glasses look great, TJ.
Thank you.
And she also says,
That's my
please hit
face.
the thumbs up. Hey, Dirk, I hope you're still in here. I think Sammy was trying to practice something, Blissful. He started howling, and I had to get up and shush him a couple of times. And yes, Richard Thomas does play evil so well. Uh, he can play good really well. He can play evil really well. Um, But now that we're caught up on that, we will move to Television Terror, which is another really good episode. This is one of my favorites. Stars Morton Downey Jr. Um, it's directed, I'm not familiar with this name either. Charles Pacerny. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not.
Lou
Um,
Paisley Ray. I know.
yeah, no. And the screenplay was by J. Randall Johnson and G.J. Pruss. More names that I'm not familiar with, but anyway, this episode was really good, kind of creepy. Probably not as creepy as the one before that,
Hmm.
but this one clearly somebody gets their just desserts in this one. Um, and I'm going to turn it over to TJ to start talking about television terror.
You know what's funny? The director did stunts in Roadhouse, which is kind of.
Oh wow, we got another Roadhouse alumni in
Which I'm
these
like, did
two.
they get people from the cast of and crew of Roadhouse to be?
I guess.
So yeah, Morton Downey Jr. plays what the hell is his name? This character. He's basically playing himself. Um,
Yeah,
he's playing Horton
yeah,
Rivers
Horton.
instead of Morton. Yeah, it's very. Um, it's like Frasier meets the WNUF Halloween special, is what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was very similar to WNUF Halloween
Yeah,
special.
I don't know if the WNUF director creators saw this episode or read the original comic, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They go into so he's a like a tabloid video journalist, I guess where he goes to different sites and it's basically it's usually fake. Um, Sort of like when Morton Downey Jr. was attacked by the Nazis when he wasn't really. I think what did he draw the swastika on backwards because he did it in a mirror? It was like that kind of. So anyway, so I don't know if it's Halloween. I think it's probably maybe is it Halloween? I don't remember now.
I thought it was some kind of Halloween special they were doing, but I could be wrong.
So they go into this. I guess it's a house where people were murdered. It's very like the House on Haunted Hill remake kind of situation
Hmm.
where the spirits of the trauma are living in or trauma depending on who you like Jamie Lee Curtis says. Um, and he's reporting on what's going on, and he sort of has his producer who's like telling him, "You go in there and go do this, go do that," and she's sort of setting him up to how it ends.
And did you catch the part where it seemed like they were having sex? I mean, him and her.
Yeah, it's alluded if yeah they
Yeah,
don't show it, but it's alluded to that she got her position because she was sleeping with the talent is basically what it is.
right.
Um, And she's like, there's a point where she's like, see, this is what you taught me. You taught me to be ruthless and taught me to whatever. So he's going into this haunted house, and he thinks everything's fake at first, and then things start getting more and more intense and more scary for him. Um, it's a cool haunted house ride for a 30-minute haunted house ride for his character. I think it works for that. And Morton's he's overacting. Like when he's screaming for his life, it's like almost comedic, but
Mhm.
he's supposed to be serious, like be afraid and everything like that. But he's just like, oh, it's like he does it with that cadence. It's just like, I mean, maybe that's the best he can act, but I mean, he ends up getting trapped in there, and um, they don't believe anything's really happening. They're like, how you making this look so real? Like that everybody in
Uh,
the booth doesn't seem to get it. Um, it's like so many movies. Like there's a little bit of Insidious that reminds me of in there with the when they go into the further. There's that kind of stuff in there, and like I
mhm.
said, NUF special. A lot of stuff. It's like they threw everything in all the haunted house cliches. Um,
Pretty much.
yeah, it's like one of the VHS episodes has a haunted house where these
Hmm.
young teenagers go into and all this crazy stuff happening. Um, so yeah, he ends up um, getting cornered by one of the ghosts of the manor or whatever, and he gets thrown out a window and hung by a rope. And his like producer's kind of shocked, and she walks out and sees him like just dangling there, and she's like, oh my god, type of look, and then it sort of like goes into a close up on him. He's dead.
Yeah, pretty dead. Yeah.
It's a nice fun ride. It's a nice, like I said, it's like a horror movie, a horror ride type of thing.
Yeah, some kind of horror roller coaster or
Yeah,
something kind of thing. Um,
it's fun. It's a fun one.
yeah, yeah, it was a fun episode, and you
Dark.
know, when you have such sleazy characters, I've heard things about Morton Downey Jr. In his, I guess, his personal life, but I'm hoping he wasn't quite as sleazy as he was on this that character of Horton
Yeah,
was on here. But um,
he heard a who.
yeah, Horton here's a, but he was very sleazy in this, so I think he, in Tales from the Crypt land, he got what he deserved, because
Yeah,
he's a sleazy asshole. So this is what happens to you. You get hung outside of a haunted house because you're a sleazy asshole. If this had been anything else, he might have lived. But this was Tales from the Crypt,
yeah,
so he's not going to come out unscathed. But I still did like the episode. I saw a lot of the same similarities that TJ mentioned, especially with the WNUF special, which I'd be I'd be very surprised if the makers of that didn't at least see some parts of this episode.
yeah.
Because when did the WNUF Halloween special come out?
2013.
Okay, 2013. Um, that was that was actually something that Steve showed me. I guess it probably would have been early in our marriage because we got married in 2013.
Oh,
And I remember him introducing me to that, and he didn't tell me like, "Oh, this came out this year." He just like said, "Hey, you want to watch this?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, because I hadn't heard anything about it, and I think this was great for me. I hadn't heard anything about it, so I thought that they actually made it back in the 80s or maybe the 90s because of the way, I mean, that's how they wanted it to look.
yeah, they did a really great. That's a really
Yeah, they did such a good job that with me not knowing anything about it and knowing that it came out that year, I literally thought, wow, I never heard of this, and then I found out later it came out 2013, and I was like, well, daggone it. But I bought that special edition that came out not very long ago, so
yeah.
I've
I got that.
got
Some,
it.
yeah, I got that too. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I watched that before Halloween.
yeah, I've still gotta watch it. It's one I've gotta watch.
I'm having my mini marathon, my yearly marathon on Saturday.
There you go.
I'm showing The Fog,
Ooh.
the original, not the
The original, yeah, not the horrible remake, right?
God, no, I watched that not too long ago on a stream,
Mhm.
um, on a Patreon stream, and I was like, we watched the original Fog, and we watched the sequel, and I was like, the sequel's so bad. It's so CGI is horrible. Even though it's the same story, and
The
even
characters are horrible in it too.
a
I
couple of
mean,
things that they changed, I'm like, I don't. The whole she's a ghost, but she's reincarnated, but she's still alive. That was bullshit. I
mm,
mean, maybe the fact that Stevie Wayne actually leaves to go get her kid is more believable than the original movie. But other than that, I don't see anything else in that that.
I don't know. Adrian Barbeau is the only Stevie Wayne for me. I mean, she nailed that
And I like what's
character.
her face, but just as that role, it just
Mhm.
they should have named her something else.
Yeah, really. I
Um,
don't know. They changed other things. Why couldn't they have changed the name?
yeah, and actually, the only clever thing I think is that the Jamie Lee Curtis character and the Janet Leigh character aren't related in the original movie, but in the remake, they're mother and daughter, which I thought that was like a reference to the. But other
Yeah.
than that, that was the most creative thing out of the whole fucking movie. So, Terrible movie. Nobody should ever watch that.
You know, yeah, we're gonna save you the trouble. Don't watch the Fog
My
remake.
second movie is going to be an Indy Milligan movie, so that's going to suck. But that's good. But
Oh,
at least I know it's bad, and it's going to be a fun bad that everybody.
yeah. There's a difference between fun bad and just
Yeah,
bad bad. There's a huge difference there.
but
Um, but I guess we'll move on to the next to last episode, which this one had some funny moments in it.
yes,
My brother's keeper,
Jessica
starring
Harper, Jessica Harper, Jessica.
yeah, Jessica Harper is in this
That's part
episode,
of the episode is her.
and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, TJ, but isn't Jonathan Stark, isn't he the guy that played like the caretaker for Jerry Dandridge on Fright Night? Wasn't he like the
Yeah, the did he?
wasn't he like the guy that like the
Yeah,
bodyguard
he
for the
played
main?
Billy Cole. Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was him. Um,
It's funny because his brother in this is Timothy Stack, but he's Jonathan Stark,
right.
which is weird. Even it'd be
Yeah,
less weird if they were really related, but the fact that their names are just the letter off.
right. And this is directed by Peter Seaman, and it was co-written by Peter Seaman, and that's another name that I know why TJ's laughing, but uh,
Peter Seaman.
yeah, so I feel bad for that guy having that name. Why would
Yeah,
your
that's why
parents
that the
name
S
that?
in the middle because it makes it better. You're
But
welcome.
did that guy do anything else?
I will
Uh,
click on his director thing and let's see what it says. Well, he wrote the 2000 How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and he wrote
Huh.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Wild Wild West. He did some writing.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting.
I don't think he did anything else as far as a director though.
But
He wrote the
so
screenplay for SpongeBob SquarePants.
okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and let. And by the way, again, this does have Jessica Harper in it, and she's great in it.
She's
Uh,
yes,
so I'm gonna let TJ go ahead and start talking about my brother's keeper.
yes. So, I had. Where is it? I think this was a Tales from the Crypt. Or was it a Vault of Horror? Wait a minute.
Oh shoot!
I can't see close up with my glasses.
I can't either, TJ. And I'm not saying you're old like me, but I'm old now. I'm starting to get to the point where to see things up close, I have to take my glasses off or slide them up or something like that.
This was a shock suspense story, number
Oh,
16.
okay.
So this is before they were like strictly horror. Um, though it sort of has, it's like a criminal-esque. I think from criminal to horror is a pretty like smooth transition. I think. Anyway, it's about Siamese twins. It reminded me of that Monsters episode with Squiggy.
Oh, yeah,
His
yeah.
brother are Siamese twins, and one of them.
It is very similar to that one.
Yeah, I wonder if. I mean, the comic was before both of these, so who knows where. So they're different enough that there's twin stories. Anyway, they're Siamese twins. The sort of brother who's sort of the smoker and the more jerky one
Mm.
wants them to be separated. There's this doctor who will do the operation for them. The other brother, played by Timothy Stack, he's not up for it. He doesn't want any change. He's really like a goody goody two shoes type of character. So he ends up getting the brother Eddie sets up a double date for them. Timothy Stack Frank, he gets Jessica Harper, and Eddie gets, I forget what the other girl's name is. Anyway,
I'm
Um,
just remembering Jessica Harper. I can't remember anything
I don't
else.
remember. She was black. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and she was evidently her and the other brother were into some kinky
Yeah,
sex
she's
things,
like a dominatrix or something like that. Yeah.
something like that.
We're not gonna look her up just to double. Yeah, she didn't have much of a career. She did a few movies in the '90s, small roles, nothing really big. Anyway, um, she was good. She's just there wasn't much to her character. She's just sort of
Right.
so Jessica Harper's. They're both. So the twist is the brother has set up a date, but they're really hookers that he paid to convince
Mhm.
Jessica Harper is basically the one the goody goody brother is to convince him to have the operation. Um, so she's doing it for money at first, but she really falls for him. Um, but Eddie decides, nope, that bitch doesn't deserve to be in love with my brother. Kills her,
Mhm.
like cleavers her in the back while him and the brother and her are embracing, and then he kills her. Um,
I was like, "That's cold, dude."
it's cool. Son of a bitch. um, yeah, like in the monsters one, it was the doctor who was the real villain, and they weren't really the bad guys. And this one, it's like one of these brothers is an evil bastard.
Mhm.
Um, so he figures, okay, they're not going to give you the electric chair because you're give me the electric chair because you're attached to me. Um, but the good goody brother isn't as goody as you think he is. And aha, so he had set up when he figures out what's going on. He had set up so the doctor will actually perform the surgery. So they're in the hospital bed, like I guess it's the next day after,
Yeah.
because Timothy Stack starts drinking taking sleeping pills and drinking booze. He's basically trying to commit suicide. We think, and the brother's like, you can't do this, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. So they
Mm.
wake up the next day in the hospital, and he's like, well, they're not gonna give you the gas chamber because I'm attached to you, and he's like, oh, guess what, brother? And the beds get separated. They,
Right.
the operation was performed,
Mhm.
and the brother goes off screaming, no, you can't, no, like that, and then Timothy's character sort of gets a little sleazy, and he starts hitting
Yeah.
on even though he was in love with Jessica Harper's character, he's now a little bit like the brother, and he's like
I
hitting on.
wonder if the separation set that off. Like if they hadn't been separated, would he still stay goody goody? Um, but he gave the real sleazy line that his brother would give to women. He says that to the nurse.
But he
I
only
can't.
knew Jessica Harper for one evening. It's not like they were. I don't know how. We always talk about falling in love so fast. I mean, like, was she really in love with him? I mean, she probably cared about him and felt guilty. That could have been a love thing, but it's a quick episode. We're not going to get too much into the minutiae of that.
Yeah, we're not gonna get too much into the relationships or anything like
Poor
that.
Jessica, she just gets chopped in the back, and it's like it's
I was like, man,
right
that's
back. It
cold.
looks really good, hospital gross, and
But it was still an episode that I enjoyed, that I liked and stuff. Um, had a couple of interesting twists in there, and yeah, I mean, again, I haven't found like an episode that I just point blank don't like yet. Now, uh, TJ, is there anything else you want to say about my brother's keeper?
no,
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Now, this last episode, The Secret, I am not going to say that I hated it, um, but if I had to pick a weak episode, at least of this season two, I would have to say The Secret is it. It had a, some moments where, it was interesting, but I don't know, it just didn't hit the spot in the same way that these other episodes did. This one stars Larry Drake and Grace Zabriskie.
from Twin Peaks,
Yep.
Mrs. Palmer.
Mrs. Palmer, Laura's mother. And this is basically uh, a vampire and werewolf episode, is what this
Thriller.
is. Nah,
The vampire parts. I mean, you can figure it out from
I kind I had it figured out before it got to a certain
the
part.
vampire part. You immediately there.
Yeah.
You only see the couple at night, and
But
it's set
you
up so
know,
you know what's going on. Yeah.
I knew there was something going on somewhere else in the story with another character too. But I'm going to let TJ go ahead and start talking about the secret.
So young little Theodore, he's an orphan. He likes sneaking in the kitchen and eating food. And there's a scene where he's eating like a chicken leg out of the, and he eats all the chicken and then he puts the bone back and then he
Yeah.
steals an apple, and he gets caught by the Miss Hannigan, I guess you call it if you
Yeah.
hands. Um, so it's like it's a lighter version of Silent Night, Deadly Night with the nun, and it's like got the nice nun and it's got the evil nun, and this one it's got the bitchy woman who runs the place, and then her assistant who's a nicer, like a Miss Honey type from what's that Matilda type of character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Miss Hagstead, of course, Hag has to be in her title.
That's right.
She's fed up with little Theodore, and we finally get this. This is final. He's like he's at the age where like they don't orphan. He's at the orphanage where he's not where parents don't want somebody his age because he's like over the age.
They want little bitty kids or
Yeah,
babies.
and stuff. Yeah, and finally this sort of eccentric couple come, and they're very like, oh hello, oh we want little Theodore, and it's very Hansel and Gretel type of couple because they take him to the mansion. There's a little thing where the other woman at the orphanage is like, how did Theodore's parents die? And Miss Hagstead is like, don't ever say their names. Don't ever talk about them. We don't talk about them. No. So you're like, okay, we know what the hell's going on here. It's pretty obvious. I think that Tales from the was it Monsters? Yeah, it was the Monsters episode with Pat Tallman.
Oh
That
yeah.
right way of hiding what was going on. This is pretty obvious of what's going on in this episode.
This kind of reminds me of that. I think it was a Tales from the Dark Side episode, Family Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
With Pat Tallman.
I didn't think that one had Pat Tallman
She's
in
the
it.
mother and her kids.
Maybe it did. Yeah, maybe that was the one. Yeah.
And the dad doesn't. Dad thinks she's just crazy or whatever, and they don't. That the mother. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was the one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. We could use the incident, but yeah. Anyway, let's get to it. So yeah, it's so we get Grace Zabriskie and William Frankfurter, which the only other thing I remember him was Foul Play. He played the albino in Foul Play with Jimmy Chase.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was trying to kill Goldie Hawn through the whole movie. Yeah, he was that guy. Anyway, he's sort of this tall, like lanky guy. Like, whatever. Grace Zabriskie is the only one kind of like holding those two characters together. Like, she's the best out of the two. She's
Yeah, I think so.
very dramatic, hoity-toity. Like,
And I like Larry Drake in this too.
Yes, Larry Drake is Tobias. He's the butler,
Mm-hmm.
who basically takes care of the kid during the day because the adopted parents, aren't available during the day. They're at work. They
Mm-hmm.
only come out in the evening when it's nighttime. And little Theodore is like, oh, can't we like go to like a movie or golfing, whatever the hell, a movie, whatever. And they're like, no, we work during the day, honey. Sorry.
You have to stay here with Tobias and eat
Yeah.
sweets all day long.
Yeah, there's a big montage of him eating a bunch of like cake and cookies and.
I can't wait for the kid to get a stomach ache the whole time.
Well, the thing is, the kid has a ravenous appetite for some reason. He's always hungry. That's why he's sneaking out at the beginning of the episode. He's sneaking out for food because he's like, I'm always hungry, and the Hagstrom is like, you can't always be sneaking out. And she's like, well, I'm the biggest out of all the kids, and it's like, oh, whatever. Because this is a secret. That's why you're bigger than all the other kids, and you eat so much. Anyway, he becomes friends with Tobias. He calls him Toby because there's a kid at the orphanage named Toby, and Larry Drake's character is very, sympathetic towards the kid and whatever. Then the step parents, while Theodore is sleeping, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna tell him the secret when we get back tonight." And we're like, "Oh, what's the big secret?" And even like the little kid's like, "Well, what's going on here?" And Tobias is like, "No, I can't tell you what's going on." So it's that later that night, Tobias gets a change of heart because guess what? The Colberts are vampires, and they've been waiting to eat little Theo. So Tobias is their familiar. He's promised immortality if they do this last thing for him. So he's been their butler for years. Eventually, they're going to make him a vampire. Very, you know what we do in the shadows type of situation. And they end up killing Toby, who's trying to protect the kid. They go after the kid, and they're like, the kid's like cornered and starting to growl and make weird noises, and he starts saying, "Well, Mrs. Colbert, I have my own secret." And she's like, "Oh, really, darling? I'm sure you do. Anyway, we're gonna eat you."
Yeah.
There's some nice dubbing you can see when she has the teeth in, where she probably couldn't talk that well with the big fangs in. But it's very good dubbing that it like really works with what's going on. It's very like it adds to the comedy of the situation. So anyway, they corner the little kid. She's like, "I have a secret too, and it's that my parents were werewolves, and I'm a werewolf too." And he turns around. That dubbing's bad because it doesn't even look like it's the kid's voice. But anyway, he ends up chasing down. He first he bites Mrs. Colbert, and she dies very dramatic. Gets her neck bitten, and then the husband's got this cool like it's almost shadowed completely, but he's sort of running away, and it reminds me of the visual reminds me of the visuals from Saturday the 14th.
Uh-huh.
Just the dark and the blues and just the camera angle, and it's like it's kind of goofy too because it's like this tall, lanky, vampire guy is afraid of this little kid werewolf. And he's like
Right.
weird movements and stuff like that. It's very weird. Anyway, he ends up killing the other guy, and he goes back to the orphanage at the end, where he now owns. I guess they left him everything in the will, which that kind of makes no sense because they were just going to eat.
They were gonna eat him, and but were they gonna like just feed off of him and turn him into a vampire, and then he would just
They were
be
just going to eat him, as far as I know. I think they
yeah.
were just suck all his blood out. I don't know because he was a kid, or maybe they do that a lot. Maybe they go to different orphanages and pick up kids.
Pick a kid that looks healthy, and they're gonna feed on him.
But
Um,
yeah, and it ends with him going back to the orphanage and saying, "Things are going to be a lot different now, Mrs. Hagstead." And the
yeah,
other woman's like smiling, "Oh, he's back! Oh, it's great." And it's like, "Oh no!" And he gives her and there's a little um, Norman Bates Mother Norman, superimposed, the werewolf face over the
right.
face. So yeah, it's not the best. I think they should have put this before. Mute Witness should have been the last episode. I think that
Yeah, that
was
would have been
a punch episode, and then
uh,
this should have been before it, and it would have been. I think, like you said, if I had seen this one before the good ones, it should have been earlier in the season, maybe.
mhm.
It's not
It
terrible.
wasn't a great way to end that
Yeah. It's not
season.
terrible. It's got some good visuals.
Mhm.
The werewolf is a little cheesy, but it's a little kid werewolf, so whatever. But yeah,
It was just for me. It was a okay episode. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It was somewhere in the middle. Um, but let's see. I don't know. I
Oh, it
keep
was a haunt of
I
fear, though.
keep banning this one person who's using the name Jesus Christ in here. I keep banning them, and because they're saying the stream gave me autism. I don't know what that adds nothing to the stream we're doing.
Okay,
So
Jenny McCarthy.
uh but the Super Batman nerd says, I'm still here, Dana, just getting my butt kicked at McHale. So poor Super Batman nerd's working at McDonald's right now. Hey, yo, Curly Jaws. Oh, me and Steve have those too. We
I
got
have
ours.
the white one. I haven't seen the white one available yet.
So is that the only one that you've got,
Yeah,
TJ?
I got all, and I got three out of the four. I,
Uh oh,
the one
Curly Jaws. You got, yeah, that's cool. Curly Jaws, I'm doing a little better now. I think TJ's doing well, or I hope he's doing well.
I've had a rough couple of weeks, but yeah.
Uh, and Curly Jaws also says, did Creep Show have movies?
Yeah, Creepshow 3.
Or I don't know if he's talking about did Tales from the Crypt have movie? Tales from the Crypt did have a couple of movies with the Tales from the Crypt name, like Bordello of Blood, and what was the other one, TJ?
Uh,
Shoot, forgetting the other one.
the one with Jada Pinkett. Or was that Bordello Blood? I know.
I know there was another one.
Yeah, there was. You're high with a shock. Uh,
Uh,
Demon Knight.
Curly Jaws says I think it was called Dark Knight or something.
Demon Knight. Yeah.
Demon Knight. Yeah, that
Yeah, thank
was.
you. And then the original 70s Tales from the Crypt of Vault of Horror.
Oh,
That
that's right.
was one of the
Yeah.
first actual movies.
Curly Jaws, you say I'll have to hop on. I'm on vacation this week. Oh, so you're wanting to hop on one of the streams, Curly Jaws. I'm glad you're on vacation. Everybody needs a vacation every once in a while. Um, a vacation from a lot of different things. A vacation. I wish I could get a vacation from just the stress of life. It's what
Yeah.
I could get a vacation from. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. So, well, me and TJ have officially reached the end of the second season of Tales from the Crypt. Next
Oh,
week,
16 bitches.
uh, next week, barring anything, happening with either me or TJ, I hope nothing, Um, but we will be back talking. I guess we're going to keep it to 6 episodes, TJ. Does that sound
That's a
good to
good,
you? Okay.
good one to stay at.
And we'll be talking about season 3, the first 6 episodes of season 3 of Tales from the Crypt. Curly Jaws, you say mental health hasn't been the best for me lately, but I'm doing okay.
Mm.
I understand that. I've been going through depression too. Curly Jaws. So
I was
uh,
in the hospital twice last week.
yeah,
And then
man.
my father passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, TJ,
But I decided, hey, why not?
I'm so sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's okay. He had cancer. It was coming, so he's better off, like they say. You know.
Well, the good thing we can say about it is he's not in pain anymore, but that doesn't erase the pain of those that people leave behind when they go. But I don't want to make everybody's,
Yeah, I don't want to bring, but I was just like, sometimes I just blurt things.
no, that's okay, TJ. It's okay. That's why we need people to talk to and why we have friends and stuff. If you can't tell people things in your darkest hour, then they're not really friends, is what the
And
way
thanks,
I believe.
thanks, Uncle Curly, and
Yeah.
thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, my uncle passed away too, like a few months before. Yeah, before my or a few months after my dad was diagnosed, and then my mother passed away last year in September. So I was like, it's been a crazy like year. It's been
Well, if I lived closer, TJ, I'd come over and hang out with you, and we'd watch Tales from the Crypt episodes together.
banter.
uh,
We'd be nudging each other. Stay awake. This isn't.
um, but so if anybody has anything they want to ask me and TJ, and
Happy
I
stuff.
can,
Happy stuff.
yeah, yeah, happy stuff. Let's try to boost everybody's morale a little bit here. Um, we don't want to get too down in the dumps because that will make all of us feel bad, including TJ, and we don't want to do that. So, if you want to ask me or TJ anything before we get off here, I can probably stay on here a few more minutes, and then I'll probably have to go rest and try to get myself ready to work for tomorrow. Because I was working, believe it or not, I was working with 104-degree temp, um, because I'm almost out of days that I can take off, and so I'm just like, I just gotta power through it and just get through this day. Who's dressing up for Halloween? This gal's dressing up for Halloween. I'm gonna be Ash from the Evil Dead series, and I'm gonna combine,
Ashley.
yeah, Ashley from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, because I'm gonna put makeup on my hand to make it look like the Deadite possessed hand from Evil Dead 2. I'm gonna get creative here with this, and so TJ, are you dressing up for Halloween?
I'm dressing up Saturday, so that's my big costume day. I don't know. It depends on what I feel like. I'm probably gonna stay on Halloween night, so it's not like I'm gonna go to any parties. But and we don't get like more than maybe one or two kids maybe during the night, so it's not like
Well, I'd be disappointed if I didn't get a lot of kids. The last when COVID was really like big, we didn't have a lot of trick or treaters that year. But then after it started kind of evening off a little bit, they start coming back in droves. And so I told Steve, I said, I'm scared to death. I'm going to be standing out there, and this big, huge group of kids is going to come, and I'm going to run out of candy. And I can't, I try to make sure I give every child that comes up to the door something. If it's not candy, I've got little toys and stuff like that I give out. But I hate not to give them candy. Um, so usually if I see myself running out, I'll try to get inside the door and like throw off the light real quick. And here's the other thing. I don't mind the older kids trick or treating, but you'll have a whole buttload of teenagers. And I'm not talking about 13 years old or something. I'm talking about 15, 16, 17-year olds coming, and they're taking the bags of candy, and I'd rather give it to the little ones. You know what I mean?
give this to your little brother, you stupid kid.
And I hate to, say, no, 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 this is for the little kids. You can't have any, when they all coming up to the door. I mean, they're nice as can be, but it's just like, I remember what my mom used to always say about Halloween and trick or treating. She always said it was really for the little kids, the
Yeah.
little ones. And you liked seeing them in their little costumes and stuff like that. It's just not the same with the older kids. They get creative too. I have had some of them not even dress up though.
Oh.
And they're really.
Hoodies on and it has like a face on it or something like that. It's like that's
Well,
lame.
I had a kid come up to me. It was one of the neighbors across the road come up to me and said, "Can I have some candy?" And they were just in regular clothes. It's like, "Can I have candy?" It's like you can't even like put on a mask or a little makeup, something,
Big
Just give
fangs.
me
Come on.
candy. Yeah, some of those plastic vampire things. No, he comes over in his regular clothes. Can I have some candy? Yeah, I don't really want to, but like What are you gonna do? Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say you're working on a documentary about Charles Manson. I found lost footage from John Lennon talking about him.
I'm watching the video right now. It's got special guest stars.
Oh boy,
I won't spoil it. People should watch this. So.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Blissful, you say my cousin's son wanted me to dress up. I'm getting out some of my old concert going clothes. Oh well, that's cool. Uh, I hope you're gonna take some pictures or something, Blissful. Oh, Curly Jaw says to give them prunes.
They're dehydrated plums.
Blissful, you say so. I guess a vampire. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a vampire. I think that's awesome.
So I'll show you pictures of my costume when it's all done.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that, and I'll have Steve take pictures of me as Ash so that everybody can
Cool.
see
He should be
me.
he should be Linda.
That would be hilarious.
With little knee socks and the.
But here's the thing: if Halloween is on a Friday or it's on a weekend,
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Steve's fine. If it's through the week, forget it. No Halloween for Steve in this house because all he does is come in, get in bed. I'll give him some chili because I'm going to make some chili for Halloween. And then he'll say, "Don't be too loud in there." It's like I'm having flashbacks to my dad again, Don't be too loud in there in your bedroom watching movies. And I'd have my sound system, with all the speakers and stuff. And my dad would be, his couch was back to back with the wall to my bedroom when I lived with my parents. And I'd hear boom, boom, boom on the wall. Dana, turn that down, And my dad's not a mean guy, but he would take enough of it and then he'd be like, I can't even hear my TV in the living room with that stuff. Like, quit blasting it. So, I know that that's the very reason people that live in apartments and stuff can't really have nice sound systems. Because guess what? You probably get evicted or something because too many people would complain. But yeah, you also can't have it when you live with your parents either, because unless your parents are big fans of surround sound, which my parents were not
Yeah.
fans of surround sound. Um, Blissful says, I will never unsee that, TJ.
Oops.
But there's a lot of things Blissful will never unsee. But so are you upkeeping your hair color, TJ?
Yeah, it's gone a little bit. It's like more like yellow and green right now. It's streaky.
I like it though.
Yeah, I
Cool.
might before the weekend. I'm gonna green it up again.
There you go. Green it up
Taking a
before
shower.
Halloween.
It's a good bet.
See, that's what I was always when like I had my hair colored rainbow colors at one time,
Uh,
and I was just so paranoid. I knew I had to wash it, and what people told me was wash it in the coldest water you can stand, and that'll help the color stay in. But
yeah,
I was like, I'd be in the shower and I'd be, I can't stand this, because I'm standing here trying to
I know. Yeah, it's yeah.
washing. It's one thing if the hairdresser is got you laying back and you're in a sink and they're running cold water, but you got freaking cold water running all over your body. That's not fun. So it's it's a totally different
This
thing.
green got all over the place when I first put it in. It was all over the bathroom, all over the walls.
Okay. Well, Steve, speaking of it getting all over the walls and stuff, when I had my hair colored, I had it dark purple
Mhm.
at one time. And when that stuff starts coming out a little bit, I went to wash my hair, and Steve said, Dana, there's purple on towel in the shower. And I said, oops, I'll go clean that. But, he was not happy with me over that. He's like, why is it coming out now? And I said, well, that happens. Unfortunately, you get your hair colored, and it's eventually going to start coming out. And, you know, but I looked, and sure enough, there were splatters of purple on the towel in the shower. I
Well,
had to take it.
sanitizer. It'll wipe it off.
He could have done it, but no, he had to make a big deal out of it and say, you did it. But Bliss, will you say when I went dark purple, I used permanent hair color? Yeah, I mean, they told me at one point that there was a when I had it black, and I want to get it dyed black again because, as you guys can tell, I've got gray showing up everywhere in front, especially. I'm wanting to get it done black again, but the hairdresser told me there's two types that we can put in. We can put in a more permanent that's going to last longer, or we can put one that's going to wash out quicker. And she said the thing is, if you go with the more permanent kind, you will never get your hair light enough to do like rainbow colors again. I was like, that's okay. We can go with the more permanent one because I got the rainbow colors one time. I got it out of my system.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to want to do that again. I'm getting ever closer to 50. I'm not saying that if there's 50 something year olds that want to color their hair whatever color they want. Um,
You can already see my scalp. It's like dark black. It's back to black gray.
Blissful says Dana Indigo Black would be amazing on you. Well, maybe I can ask the hairdresser about Indigo Black um, whenever I get time to go.
Yeah, I
And
think only the dark colors are permanent. You can't. They don't do lighter. Like I'm sure the green. There's no permanent green or anything.
yeah, I usually hear them talk about dark colors
Yeah.
as being, but they're not truly permanent because eventually they come out. They
Well,
just
yeah, I mean, you know.
it grows out. I guess is the best way I can say it because eventually your roots are gonna grow out no matter what you do,
Yeah.
unless your hair quits growing. And mine hasn't quit growing. It doesn't grow as fast as it used to. I think that's partly age and partly thyroid issues
Yeah.
that cause that. But um, Curly Johnson, I'd love to have you on, hun. Tonight, but we're probably going to have to get off here in a few minutes. And but if you let me know, I can get you on at another time. I'll probably be doing a seductive poison or resurgence tomorrow night, unless something happens and I get so sick I can't sit upright. In which
Just if
case,
it goes up again, go to the doctor's, woman.
I know, TJ. I know what I'm gonna hear from Blissful when I get off here because she's gonna be messaging me and she's gonna get all over me. I know she will because she's like she's not old enough to be my mother, but it's almost like I got I feel like I've got a lot of mothers and fathers out there that people that are all watching out for me.
I'm a younger cousin, so.
There you go. You can be my younger cousin that worries about me.
If anybody wants to go to the Rad channel, he's got a stream going on right now.
There you go.
You want
Uh,
to get into Garrett right now.
I'll probably start at 8 p.m. Eastern time, old Curly Jaws, if that would work for you.
I'll watch that tomorrow. When I put my costume together, I'll watch the Dana and Old Curly Jaw stream.
And who knows, Jay may want to come on. I'm thinking about asking Jay to see if he wants to come on. Because Jay says he's bored and he has no life. And so he's like, I say, don't say that, Jay. You have a life. I mean, but I understand about being bored. You know, I get bored too at times. Although with work, I don't have time to get bored most of the time. So, uh, Bliss, will you say you have a Wednesday 13 live later on. Like, are you going to be doing this, Blissful?
Are you playing with the band?
Or are you just going to go to a live that Wednesday
I think she
13th?
might just go into a concert. Do they only play during Halloween? It seems they only play during like the later month of the year.
Mm. I mean, she's been sending me videos of them.
I only see them at like horror conventions.
Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say you want to hear Jay's thoughts on the trailer? Well, I'm sure he'd give you an honest opinion on it.
No.
No, you're not going to be. One day, I'm going to get Blissful live, even if it's just her talking. I'm going to get her live on one of these streams, and I'm waiting for her to be ready.
You do an interview like you did with that other guy. The
With Wayne.
yeah, with the
Yeah. I mean, I told her, I said, you don't even have to come like visually on camera. If you don't feel comfortable, just come on there and just talk. Because I've had voice chats with Blissful, and she has a very soothing voice. And, I'm not saying I go to sleep, listen to her or anything, but it's just she has a very friendly, soothing voice, so she's easy to talk
is it
to.
Stevie Wayne and KV?
She could be like a Stevie Wayne. Um, let's see. Blissful says he's on tour 23, 24. He tours 6 to 8 months every year. So, well, guys and gals, it is a little bit after 10, and this gal's going to have to get some rest. I'm sure TJ's going to have to get some rest at some point, too. And so I want to thank everybody for coming in and listen to us talk about the last 6 episodes of season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. I want to thank TJ for being I can't say lovely because he's a guy, but my handsome co-host on here. Yeah, I always want to say lovely, but I'm like, you can't say that about guys. You can't say they're lovely.
Awesome. You can say that.
You are awesome,
Oh,
TJ.
without prodding.
No, really, I do think you're awesome. Hey, by the way, before we get off here, what's the shirt you got on? I know it's got Michael Myers and
Here we go. Pumpkin carving with Michael Myers.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that one out?
T Fury possibly.
Mm.
I didn't get any new shirts this year, but because I'm broke.
I understand about being broke. I'm currently broke right now.
But, yeah. So.
Here's something to make TJ blush. Blissful says he's awesomely handsome.
Thanks, B.O.
So anyway, is he blushing yet, Blissful? Let's see.
That's lighting. I'm blue right now.
So anyway, I should be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Seductive Poison, the Resurgence. And Curly Jaws, I hope you can still join me. And I'm going to see if we can get Jay on. If there's anybody else that wants to join in, feel free. We can have up to 10 people on here at one time. I'm not saying the stream won't screw up, but I'm saying theoretically we can have that many people on here. So anyway, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and TJ's going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks again, TJ, and everybody.
Guys, girls.
Have a good night.